Hey, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to work on getting some of the front wiring ran on the AE86, so come along. Now, I know you guys are probably getting really sick of this chassis wiring. I'm hoping this is pretty much going to be the last one here. I need to get all this stuff kind of ran to the front here. A lot of this stuff is going to be repurposed. Right now, these are all spare outputs. I'm just going to reuse the wiring for the actual stuff that we're going to use, like the blinkers and everything. First things first, though, I want to get this fender off just to make it easier for running everything. There is a little light right in here. I just got to make sure I leave enough room for that to get turned on. These wires are going to have to, because they're like through the window right now, we'll have to figure something out with them. But what I want to do right now, like I said, is get the fender off and then we can go from there. Yeah, so we got the fender off and everything like that. I need to figure out how many outputs we need and everything, because like I said, most of these are going to get teed into the rear, well, already the rear lights. We don't need to have one input put running lights to the front and the back, like the separate output. We can do one input, one output instead of one input, two. That'll save us an output. Because what we still need outputs for the gauge cluster lights, the turn signal indicators, stuff like that. Probably what I'm going to do though is I'm going to reuse these wires to run them to the front and just tie them in. Before I commit to that, I want to pull some of the ones out for dash stuff. I mean, I guess technically they could be the same outputs. Let me figure it out. Yeah, so what I think I'm going to do, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tee the current outputs for like the blinkers into 3 wires, I guess. So we're going to have the wire going back, and we're going to have a wire going to the front blinker, and then we're going to have a spare wire going to the cluster. That way it's one output being controlled by one input, but it's going to be, you know, technically I guess 3 outputs, if that makes any sense. I wish I could do it so I'd have the same wire colors for the front and the back and everything like that, but I just don't see how that's going to be possible right now. I think my plan is going to be to start cutting so I can run wires, I guess. I don't like that idea, but it is what it is. Let me show you what I did. So we've got these wires that are teed off. These are going to go to the gauge cluster. So I've got them kind of labeled. I'm not going to run these yet because we still need a brights indicator. But what we ended up doing is just tying into the wires that go to the back and running them to the front. So I'm going to de-pin the ones that are over there. And that really should be all the splicing we have to do, except for, like I said, the brights indicator, which that's not that big a deal. So in theory, I could hook up stuff up there and they'd work, like the blinkers and everything. So I've kind of got the blinkers hooked up. I don't know if the grounds are that good. I kind of just want to see if it's going to work. So let's hook up the battery and I guess test it, right? Left? Right? That's sick. Haha. Well, that means the indicator stuff should be working properly too, because they're tied in the same way. But that means we just need to actually get the correct new headlights and hook them up.
Yeah, these are kind of in rough shape.
Well, that one's broken and they're just old sealed beam lights, you know. Okay, so after getting the blinkers working last week, I want to try to at least get the low beam output working. I'm not going to wire it to both of them. As long as we know one is working, the other one's obviously going to work. I think the only problem with that's going to be is trying to figure out in the PDM programming how to work the input, because that input's already controlling the headlight motor, I think. Deal with that when we get there. What I got to do first is put the plug in on the headlight. I've got a H4 9004 socket. I think it fits these. And then we'll see which one's high beam, we'll see which one's low beam, we'll see which one's ground, and we'll get it pinned and hopefully kind of figure something out here. Yeah, so that's a bit annoying. Someone soldered some wires right on these lights. It's not a big deal. I'm going to replace these with the updated version of them. But the plug does fit. So that's good to know. We can at least figure it out. If I remember right, this light was working. So in theory, we can test everything over here. It'll work over there. And then we can kind of start tidying up some wiring, at least figuring out lengths, I guess. Well, yeah, for the most part. So first things first, check the wire, or figure out what pins once, and then we'll put a connector on that. And yeah, so I got this figured out. So I'm going to put a DT connector on here. I like to do that just, I don't know, in case there's ever a problem, at least we got like a little jumper where we can section out a piece of the harness. I don't know, maybe that's dumb of me. I think it's smart. So I guess that's all that really matters, right? Oh, I was careful. I almost dropped that. Okay, I'm gonna set this down so I don't make the mistake of dropping that. I'm gonna tape this and loom it right away too, so that way she's all good to go. Man, that heater's hot. It's melting me right now. Cool, little sub harness. So now what we can do, that thing's crooked for some reason. Plug this in and start seeing if we can get the light to actually work. All right, I should have everything all set up. I had to do like a conditional requirement for if the headlight switches on to turn the motor. Anyway, again, don't worry about how the motor, we haven't done any sort of timing with that yet. It'll stop, but not in the right spot. But let's see if it works. Look at that. Well, now I kind of want to see if I can get the high beam to work. Yeah, why not, right? So I think I got it kind of all set up. So let's turn the headlights on. And brights. Well, they're turning on, but I think because the actual low beam is turning off when that happens, the motor's going down. But I mean, they're functional, so that's good. I wonder if I got a bulb for the corner lights, because if we can get the corner lights done, technically all of our front wiring is complete. Let's see if I can find something. Well, I found the connector for the running lights, but it's been a little cobbled together, so I'm gonna have to get a new connector. I'm not gonna wire my nice PDM wiring into that, just not really worth it. So I'm back. I've got a bunch of connectors here. Most importantly, the side marker lights. I've got some new running lights ordered for up front. They're 3D printed Zenki ones. So I'm kind of excited how those are going to be. I'm getting them from Australia of all places. So my goal for today is get the running lights working so that way we know everything's good up here. And what we'll probably do is we'll probably actually start like running the wires back to the lengths that they need to be and kind of putting connectors on, hopefully. Yeah, there's a couple things that are like the running lights. Obviously, we're not going to worry about putting connectors on those because we're going to be changing them. But we can probably do at least the headlights and the running light. But I'm going to get that all pinned out here and we'll go from there. Yeah, so what I really want to do is I want to get all this wiring tidied up. I'm really looking forward to that part of this project because look at it. It'll look a lot better once it's actually all done, if that makes any sense. Maybe more motivated. It seems like I've been doing this for forever. I mean, you guys have been watching, so you know. And I don't want to go too crazy with when I actually go to start doing the running of the wires because, like I said, I need those parts from Australia first. I don't need to put that in there right now. I'm mostly just going to need it for a length, but again, need a ground here quick. I don't want to like get the whole loom taken out because I don't really need that much right now, you know. Cool. So now we can do, plug this in. Hopefully get it up there. And what I'll end up doing is I'll end up running some like P-clamps and stuff to keep these wires out of the way, so I want to make sure we have the right distance. So I go to right there, snip that, and put a little eyelid on there. Oh no! That sucks, that bolt just broke. So now when I put this ground on, in theory, these running lights will work. As long as that bulb's good. Let's give it a go. Is it on? It is not on. That bulb might be blown though. There's another one right here. Let's try this. Yeah, the bulb was blown. Cool, so we know that everything works up front. So now it's literally just tidying the things up. Yeah, so I think the next part of this is actually going to be start getting the actual headlight motors all wired up. Some of those wires I've got outside the door right now, so I took pictures of everything. We're gonna undo the PDM from the headlight motor, and then we're gonna run all the wires and kind of pull them so that all the slack is out of the car, so that way we roughly know where we want them all to be. And we'll start roughly wiring them up this way, just so we know what kind of lengths we have. And I'd like to potentially get that figured out. I don't know, I'm trying to brainstorm here. I know this video is going to be like all over the place, but I just gotta pull the Band-Aid off. Let's do this. So I'm just trying, I don't know if I'm on camera right now, but I'm just trying to get some of the wires that aren't being used over here out of the way. And so it looks like right now it's just the two switch wires that we need to pull back through. So let's snip these and go from there. I'm gonna pull those back through the door and then out the fender so we can actually have them the right way. Ouch. Come on. There's one. There's two. Sweet. Okay. There's a lot of spare wiring in here that I should probably just take out. I'm gonna go get some zip ties and we'll zip tie these wires together. There's gonna be some massive wiring to untangle here on the other side of this. It's all right. The first thing I'm gonna do is just untangle all the loose ones. Make sure they're separate, not intertwined with other wires. come over this way. And have them come right down. And probably like right around here, huh? Looks like a pretty good spot for them to come out. Well, now that I've got them all kind of ran, the crimpers I have for closed barrel DT connectors are not big enough for the contacts for the big gauge, which isn't that big a deal. I'd like to maybe see if I can get both motors wired up. If we can get both motors wired up, then all that's really left is the change over the headlights, and obviously, like I said, do the running lights. So, well, you know what? I take that back. I just want to get the one motor done because I have to figure out. We need 2 spare inputs, so I got to go through the Elite 2500 harness and see how many inputs we have left. But if we can get the one done, then that's done. I mean, check that one off the list. So that'll probably be all that we're gonna do in this video. But I'm gonna, yeah, I guess start doing that here real quick. So now these 2 gray wires are both the inputs for the headlight motor switches. The actual, so like before, we had this big gauge powering it. We're not going to use this anymore. We tested the load. It only pulls about 6 amps, so we're going to run one of the other ones. We're actually going to use these big ones for we're going to split this one wire for both headlights and then another big one for both brights. So the pink and black one I'm not too terribly worried about for length because this one is going to be a common between both headlights. Brown and gray to blue, brown and gray to blue, brown and gray to blue. With all the new wiring on this car, it almost feels wrong to reuse this, but it's part of the motor assembly, so not like I can do much about that. So I'm kind of thinking when this is all said and done, it'll probably be like down here, plugged in. Probably even cut the other one here to the same length because I'm going to the same spot, you know what I mean? So now we got this green wire, which is going to be the constant. We can snip this right about here. This one on the other side, I'm not too worried about length because I have to splice into it for the other motor. Which, I mean, I guess we could probably do tonight, right? Yeah, maybe we can get both these headlight motors wired in tonight. Let's see. Length does not currently matter on this one. Remember that. Telling that to myself. Oh, where'd that go right there? Now it's just power and ground. You know, I see why a lot of people build like harnesses on tables and stuff like Derek was telling me to do. My brain just doesn't work that way. I have to like see what I'm doing. Like I understand the theory behind it, but yeah, teach their own, right? Everybody does stuff different. Alright, now let's get some lube on there. Car will look like a race car before we know it, right? This is one of those things that, you know, not everybody's going to see. But when they do, they'll appreciate the little bit extra time that it takes to make something look good, you know? Yeah, just like that. So I'm gonna do the ground here real quick, and then we'll test it to make sure it works, and then maybe we'll try getting this other one done here real quick. Yeah, so I just tested it. Everything's working good. Put some loom on there. Loomed it all over to here. So the reason it's not loomed from here is because this is all gonna be part of one harness, and this one has to go up. So over here I'll probably need some bigger loom, but to give you an idea how it's going to run and everything, I'm gonna put it right on the other side. I'll throw some riv nuts in here with some P-clamps, kind of hold everything down. But that looks really good. So now that we know everything's working, it's really honestly no point in filming any more of it, I guess, until it's all done. Maybe I'll show you guys then. So I think that's actually where I'm gonna leave this episode. I know this one has been kind of all over the place, and it's mostly because I'm having a hard time figuring out what part of the wiring I want to accomplish. And I kind of get in my head, sometimes you just gotta, rip the Band-Aid off. But we're making really good progress, and we're gonna start on the engine harness here soon. So if you guys are looking forward to that, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time.